I've got a great documentary recommendation for you today. The documentary is called Accidental Courtesy. If it sounds familiar, it's because the main subject of the film is musician Daryl Davis, who I've interviewed twice on the program. He is known for not only being a great musician and playing with legends like Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard, Chuck Berry. He also has this hobby, I don't know what to call it, of meeting with and befriending members of extremist groups, particularly the KKK. And many of these individuals have never had a black guy as a friend. And in getting to know Daryl and re-examining their beliefs, some of them have opted to leave the KKK and other white supremacist groups. Featured in the documentary, which is available on both Netflix and Amazon, and you can find out more at davidpakman.com/recommendations. In the documentary, there are actually 3 former David Pakman Show guests featured. Daryl Davis, who's the subject and star of the film, has been on the program twice. Mark Potok from the Southern Poverty Law Center is featured in the film. He's been a guest numerous times. And there's a great moment, I'm not giving anything away by telling you this, there's a great moment where Daryl goes down to Alabama and meets with Mark Potok. And they basically have not a debate, but a conversation about the SPLC's strategies for combating these groups and Daryl's strategies. And you can see that Mark Potok is just like flabbergasted by the drastically different method that Daryl Davis employs. And it's a really interesting conversation that they have.
Right, because Daryl Davis never really tries to convince anyone. He just kind of treats them as a fellow human being and sees if they can relate on some other aspect. And a lot of times these people who hold these racist views realize, if I can befriend someone like Daryl, why can't I befriend any other black person?
Right, and of course the SPLC has a very different approach, which is trying to systematically actually shut down these groups. And both approaches, I think, are legitimate in different ways. Also appearing in the film is former KKK member Scott Shepard, also a friend of the show and a friend of Daryl's, who has been a guest on the program at least 2 and maybe 3 times. So really great film, Accidental Courtesy. It is on Netflix, where I watched it. It's also available on Amazon. And you can find this film along with all of the other films and books and documentaries that I've recommended at davidpakman.com/recommendations. We've got a great show for you today. We will be taking phone calls. We will be answering audience questions. And of course, if you have any comments, questions, concerns about anything that you hear on the program today, please follow me and tweet me on Twitter at @dpakman. The show also on Twitter at David Pakman Show. We'll take a break and be back with more right after this.